Guess we'll get started.
We have a quorum, so whenever you're ready to start, just a reminder, everyone, the meeting is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube at the conclusion of the meeting.
All right, we have minutes of the July 9th meeting. Does anybody have any comments or corrections to the minutes? Okay, can I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll move it. This is Dan.
Okay, Dan, second.
A second.
Who was the second?
Odine.
Odine?
I
All
didn't see
right, any further discussion? Do we have to go around the room?
No, I think what we started doing is that if there's a no vote on anything, then we'll do a roll call vote. If everyone, unless there's if there's unanimous yes, then we don't have to do a roll call. I think that'll expedite things.
Okay, all in favor of the meeting minutes, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Communications and reports, the financial statements from June of 2020.
Yep,
Jim.
attached to the June financials. We're still running at least a good month behind on financial reporting from our host agency, and probably will be for a while. Actually, I'm not sure how they're going to catch up. It's the kind of thing, once you fall behind a cycle, I don't know how you catch back up. But between the pandemic and the turnover and staff at the host agency, there was took a while for them to get the gears rolling again. It's rolling now and it's processing fine, but the cycle takes about 30 days to do. So I'm not sure how they're supposed to make up for the 30 days that they're behind. So this might be the new normal now that we're at. But in terms of the financials, those are the June financials, and that June marks the quarter mark for our program year, which begins in April 1st. And I have 75% of the funds remaining. So if you do the math, I cannot get more on target than that. I'm exactly where I should be at this point in the year, which is rare. We did close out last year in the black with about 50,000 plus of available funds. So I have a little cushion if we go overboard, but that's not my intention. My intention is to take the overage from last year and roll it into next year's program to have a robust program for next year. A few expenses drove this month's up a little bit higher than normal, and they were some recruiting expenses for Lori. We had to pay the agency that we hired Lori through, as well as some COVID-related expenses that we didn't anticipate, as everybody else has had those as well. Any questions on the financials?
No. Is SMT impacted at all with any money being held from your budget?
No, we are not being impacted at all. We're operating under the soon-to-be expiring transportation bill, and the county is first instancing the money and then getting reimbursed in full from the feds via New York State DOT. And all indications are that that is working fine. Again, we were a little bit behind on the cycle due to the turnover in staff at the host agency here. But Pat is driving that boat now. It's working fine. And it looks like we're not anticipating any reduction in funding. But, you know, like everybody else, we're waiting to see what happens when the transportation bill and government funding in general runs out. And will there be a continuing resolution or what? And I'm not going to predict what Washington does these days. They're just kind of fun to watch on TV.
Okay, any other questions on the financials? All right, moving right along to the UPWP status report.
Yep, I'll just highlight a few of the more prominent items. In general, our mix of on-site and at-home staff seems to be functioning well. Most projects are on their original schedules. We had to have some necessary modifications due to a few project subject matters like school projects related to the schools. We held a planning committee last month, and we have a policy committee meeting scheduled for September 23rd that I encourage you all to attend. It is essential because it's the adoption of our new long-range transportation plan, which must occur if we all want to keep federal funding flowing into our community. Under public participation, we're still learning and moving ahead with virtual public involvement. I think it's going pretty well. For those of you who attended the planning committee last month, I would love feedback on how that project presentation process occurred, if you thought that it went smoothly or not. I'm trying to pre-record the presentations and giving them a set 5 minutes to go for. I think it worked pretty well, but I'd love to hear from other people if they thought that process went well. And putting it all on YouTube for planning and policy committees are live on YouTube so that they can be completely transparent to the public. I think that process is meeting our obligations for public involvement as well. But if you have any input on that, I would love to hear it at any point in time, or suggestions to modifying it. I'm open to any ideas. As I mentioned, under federal funding, there's no news on a new transportation bill. It's expiring, and we're keeping our fingers crossed for a continuing resolution. For data collection, we wrapped up the City of Syracuse sidewalk data collection that we were planning on doing for this summer as a pilot proof of concept effort. Now we have to sit down with the city and go over what was done and see what/if they want to take it to the next level. A lot of GIS work going on in support of various projects. Our 2020 bike maps are in. If you want any at your agency, please let us know. We're continuing to work on wrapping up the Empire State Trail Economic Opportunities Plan, working with SACWA and the Regional Planning Board. We believe that SMTC's efforts are just about done on that. So Dan, if you think you need more from us, please let me know, because otherwise I'm gonna put a check mark on that one and say that we're done and I can move my staff on to other activities, okay?
I would love to do the same. Yep.
Long range plan is completed and going to policy committee later this month. One project that is still not moving is the joint TMC co-location white paper evaluation. It's just due to a variety of reasons and staff resources. That one has just not really had the chance to move ahead yet. But another large project, the Dome Traffic Management and Event Strategic Plan, has moved ahead substantially. The scope was approved, an RFP was written, it was published in the contract reporter. We received over 10 expressions of interest and a variety of questions that came in. The answers went out to all those who gave us an expression of interest within the time frame. The proposals are due next Friday. That project is going to have a budget of about $400,000, so I expect several firms will be proposing on that project. So interest level seems pretty high. For the Tuscarora Road corridor study, the Route 11 corridor study in Mattydale, and the Village of Skaneateles PED study, those scopes have all been approved. Their data collection has been underway, and staff meetings are being scheduled for all of those. The Manlius Village Center pedestrian study, that scope is written and will be going out to the planning committee for its approval in the next couple of weeks. Syracuse sidewalk planning, I hit that one up already. Syracuse loading study, that has been deferred for the year, as I mentioned. And Syracuse residential parking permits and Syracuse Safe Routes to School, those are in the final phases of being scoped right now. Under TIP development and maintenance, we have a slew of TIP amendments on our schedule today. And we try to ensure minimization of loss of funds. I'm not up to the minute on the status of the city and the county projects at the moment, but last I knew there was some monies that were possibly at risk, but I'm sure Mark will fill us in on that before the meeting's over. Any questions on anything related to our work program?
All right. No questions? All right, no, there's no old business, so we'll move right into new business, TIP amendments.
Yes, we have quite a few TIP amendments here. We have 8 TIP amendments for review today, 6 from New York State DOT and 2 from the town of Cicero. I emailed out at the 11th hour a little graphic that Mario put together to try and make this process a little bit more intelligible. Thank you very much, Mario. I find those graphics helpful, at least to me. Kind of moving a lot of money between a lot of projects here. So the first project is a change in fund source for the town of Cicero, Darlene's Brook. For the town of Cicero, the project is swapping flex funds from outside the SMTC area back to the region and using unallocated flex funds in the SMTC area. The next 7 projects are changes to cost and or schedule. New York State DOT Route 11 ADA Sidewalk Safety Project. That's moving the right-of-way and detailed design phases to 21/22. Offset is provided by the state's Route 370 Safety Project. New York State DOT Sentinel Heights, moving detailed design and right-of-way acquisition to 20/21. Again, offset provided by the Route 370 project. New York State DOT's Route 5 maintenance by contract, moving detailed design to 2021 and increasing construction and inspection phases by $400,000 and $40,000 respectively. Offset is again provided by the Route 370 project. New York State DOT bridge improvement, I-690 over John Glenn, moving detailed design to 2021 and increased scoping and preliminary design by $28,000 and $27,000 respectively. That offset is again provided by the Route 370 project. New York State DOT bridge and deck repair, adding an additional $64,000 to both the scoping and preliminary design phase for this year. Offset provided by New York Route 5 maintenance project. Last one from New York State DOT, rehab and replace regional culverts. This project is swapping fund sources for right-of-way acquisition, additionally adding $296,000 to detailed design for this year. Offset provided by the Sentinel Heights project. Lastly, it's another Town of Cicero project. Cicero Hamlet of Brewerton revitalization that has been on the program for a lot of years is funded with special member item HPPP funding. It's looking to be delayed quite again. My calculations are that project has been on the program for at least 12 years, maybe more. But no one seems to be balking about moving the funds out on it since they're special funds. So that one's going to be delayed another year. That's a lot. That's hence the graphic here. Hopefully that will help explain where the money's moving from and to. Mark and company is online. Please ask questions, and hopefully me, Murray, or Mark can answer them.
Yeah, so Jim, why don't I just go first? Mario's chart kind of shows that what we did, but doesn't necessarily tell the story. So the story for these DOT projects is we hit all of our construction projects that needed to be obligated this federal fiscal year. And we had 4 projects that did not get to design approval. And those 4 projects are the Route 11 ADA sidewalk, the Sentinel Heights Road over I-81, the Route 5 MBC project, Town of Geddes, and the I-690 bridge improvement project. So it's not a lot of dollar value, but to maximize the funding, what we are proposing is to take the final design money that we were not able to obligate because we did not get to design approval, and put it on other projects that we could utilize. And those other projects are the bridge, deck, and joint. It's the culvert project, and it was the East Circle Drive over Darlings Brook, which is the Town of Cicero that a number of months ago we brought some additional money in because of the shortfall for that project. So really what these TIP amendments are all about is maximizing 100% of the federal funding that exists within the SMTC area, so that the funding is essentially utilized. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on this, and then I can give you an update as to where we stand with the county and city after we deal with this TIP amendment.
So
Actually, I do have one item. Someone who's connected by phone number only, can I ask who you are? 315-435-3205?
Chris Robber, Engineering DOT.
Thank you very much. I just need to make sure for the record we know who's connected. Thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Chris, you could have come in my office. Hey, Mark, what does this mean for the 370 project? It means that you weren't able to get to design approval because of how well the public outreach went. Where does that project stand?
Yeah, so Marty, we definitely want to move forward with the 370 project. And earlier in the summer, we had postponed the final design work to next year. We've kind of used the 370 as a catch-all because of the issues that from a financial standpoint, but we recognize that we were not going to get design approval before October 1st of this year because of the the steps that we need to take. And so we want to move forward. We still need to collaborate with the county's section, the MBC project that you guys have that is just really starting up. But we have more work to do with the public. We certainly have more work to do with Liverpool on that. And this just protects the funding.
Yeah, understood. Okay.
So that's the detailed design money that you weren't able to get, that you moved out to these other projects. Is that correct?
That's correct. And those expenditures, like the bridge deck and joint project, that's already in preliminary design. The culvert project, we already have design approval. So it's funding that we can utilize here now.
Okay.
You know, it's our goal always to try to get to 100% obligation. I think within SMTC, if you look at the last 4 years, been probably over the 97, 98%, trying to get there again this year as best as possible, and these moves are necessary to do that.
Okay. Any other questions on these 8 tip amendments? Can we do them all as one motion, Jim?
Yes, unless there's an objection or someone wants to vote one of them down, yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the 8 tip amendments as one?
Mary, I'd make a motion. This is Mark.
Okay. Second?
I'll second it, Mary.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. I guess now we can talk about the county and city project.
Yeah. How's the status of that looking for that funding obligation?
So seems like every year we get a number of projects towards the end of the year. And I think everybody recognizes the once we get our highest priority in my office is construction, because that's the biggest dollar values, and we put a lot of effort in working with mainly the county and cities and other municipalities to get those projects across the design finish line. We had 3 projects within Onondaga County that made it to the finish line. Bear Road and Old Route 5 Warner's Road. We requested obligation September 1st and September 2nd of this year. So where it goes from there, it needs to be approved by Program Management in Albany, our accounting bureau, and then there's 3 sign-offs within FHWA that also need to approve it before it's obligated. So those 2 projects were submitted. The last project remaining in Onondaga County was the pedestrian signal safety project that was submitted yesterday. There was a final change to this that I think the PS&E estimate came in twice what we had on the program, and so the county added some alternate bidding to the contract, to the proposal. We approved that this morning. I believe it was submitted this morning for obligation. So I think from the county's perspective, everything is in. And I didn't know if Marty or Chris wanted to mention anything related to those projects.
Nope, we're just heading forward, looking forward to advertising the projects once we sort out a few other minor details. But the estimate that came in high for the ped safety project was a bit of a shock to us, but we're going to work through that with the consultant.
Alrighty. So then the other project, Mary's project, the interconnect corridor project, which has probably been priority number one in my office for the last 2 weeks. I think it is in Mary's office too. I know there's been a lot of collaboration on trying to get to the final PS&E on this project. What I will say is that yesterday evening, about 5 o'clock, the revised PS&E came in. We had a few issues associated with it that I know that Rich Salzak in my office was dealing with Bergman to try to resolve. It is being reviewed by our right-of-way group for compliance to all the work being within the highway boundary. They realize how important this project is, being a $7 million project, that this needs to move forward. So I remain optimistic. I would have liked to submitted this one back in August, but we are where we are. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to at least request obligation today or tomorrow.
Mark, can you keep me apprised of that if that crosses the finish line, or if it doesn't, just because it's going to have a lot of domino effects if it fails in terms of being able to rebalance the program?
Yep, without question, Jim. And I should give Mary an opportunity to mention whatever she wants to mention related to that.
I just, it's really right-of-way issues as far as I'm understanding it, and getting the right-of-way clearance. I believe all the other issues have been resolved. Is that your understanding, Mark?
Yeah, a lot's happened within the last week. We required that they put the highway boundaries on the plans, which were not on the plans on Thursday. I think they worked through their weekends to get that done. As I mentioned, it came in yesterday, and our real estate group is looking at it. So I will, if we get to that point where they're able to sign off, and Mary, there were just 2 intersections that I think were flagged. I know John Killahan had been notified, and he was trying to talk with Bergman about those. I'm hoping those are getting resolved as we speak here. And I will let both you and Jim know if we're able to request the obligation today or tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. But there were a couple other issues, but those all got resolved, right?
Yeah, the signal that got resolved maybe late last week. The changes to that. I think we're just really down to the right-of-way clearance.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the update. Looking forward to doing these again in person someday.
Yeah, and I think all the other city projects are in from Mary's side.
Yes, that's my understanding. Okay, any other tip amendment related discussion? No? We have no public comment, people?
No, for the public involvement for executive committee, we publish this to our YouTube as soon as the meeting's over, instead of live streaming. We live stream.
Okay. Yep, got it.
It's too hard to do it with executive as well.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move, DJ.
All right, second.
I'll second it. It's Mark.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Have a good
Good
day.
afternoon.
Take care.
Thank you.